I think I can testify that sometimes the gap year extends beyond a year.
Exactly. But I'm still going to show up.
Yes.
And before you know it, Robert, I had another agreement or contract because they called me back and asked me if I would be a consultant. I then also took on the role of being the executive pastor of our church. And so my income doubled at that point because I kept showing up.
Hey, fellas, and welcome back. And thanks for joining us in part 2 of the Intentionally Overheard Podcast episode with Carlos and Robert Ginyard. Check it out.
So now that you stayed consistent and you were disciplined, Carlos, what do you think, or where do you think you would be if you did not listen to that psychologist and make that decision about you?
I really believe in retrospect. I don't know if I would have been the man that God had called me to be.
Yeah.
The anchoring that is needed and necessary in that space when you're either at your lowest or you're trying to find yourself. What are you anchoring yourself in? And I believe if I wasn't a man of faith, and if I didn't have men like you from an iron sharpening iron community, I don't know if I would have been able to sustain myself the way that God has enabled me to. And for men to, because it's interesting, when you start looking for things, you can find whatever you're looking for, right? So when you're looking for a new car and you're like, I want that BMW, or I want that hybrid car, they show up everywhere.
Yeah, right.
On the road.
You start seeing it.
You start seeing them everywhere.
Right.
You do.
Cognitive dissonance.
Cognitive dissonance. You see it. But when I needed men to show up, and that was my prayer, then men started showing up everywhere that shared the same faith, the same values that I had. So when you look for it, when you ask for it, when it's part of your request, it shows up. And we have to understand, what are we searching for? What are we requesting? And when we make our request known unto him, it shows up. It may not show up the way you think it should show up, but it shows up. So
Right.
Thank you for showing up in my life, Robert Ginyard.
Indeed. Well, it is truly reciprocated. You have not only helped me, I've seen the work that you've done with men, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but you're not just focused on men. You talk about family and marriage. And so I've seen your ministry at work, not only with helping men, but helping them show up in marriage and in their families and their kids and everything. So, like I said, we'll talk about that in a moment. Now, Carlos, I do have to ask you this. When you were up against the health challenge, again, both of us are prostate cancer survivors, how much of a role, or was that a factor in you really being deliberate or intentional about being the best Carlos Green you can be?
So it was very intentional for me. And I don't want anyone to pick up the perception that all of this was very easy for me to walk through.
Yes.
It wasn't. I mean, there are times that it was depressing. It was a hard weight to carry, because when you're diagnosed with that and you see the statistics that are actually out there, you don't want to give yourself a death sentence, but it does make you question your mortality at that point. What's going on? So you have these thoughts that go through your mind about the what ifs. And how do you get through that? So this was no walk in the park for me. Like, oh, everything's going to be, I don't know. But I knew I had faith in it. And here's the one thing that really got me through. It was not fair to my wife or to my sons if I didn't take care of myself. If I didn't do everything that I needed to do to ensure that I was going to show up well, going through the radiation, going through the surgeries, going through the consultations, going through my diet and exercise to make sure that I am doing everything that I possibly can to ensure that I can still be a value add to my family and not just be someone that they're just taking care of.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So every morning making an intentional and deliberate decision of how I would show up, going through radiation, praying every day, making sure that my thoughts don't overtake me, the negative thoughts don't overtake me. And the only way I could do that is just being anchored in the word,
Yeah.
having a community that I could share that with. It just made such a difference in the way that I viewed my situation. I didn't isolate myself. I couldn't isolate myself because I knew I had a wife and sons that were depending on me and that was also watching me.
Yes.
And here's the last thing that I'll say, and we can move on. But my father, my birth father, went through cancer and he had to have a complete laryngectomy done. Complete laryngectomy. And the way he showed up through that surgery, I still live off of that today. Because he showed up as a God-fearing man through that entire situation. And I don't know where he got the strength from. I know where he got the strength from. I
Yes.
just didn't recognize it when we were going through it. And that has carried me. That modeling
Yes.
carried me through my situation as well.
You talk about showing up. I mean, that's your mantra about showing up. And I had to do the same thing for my family. You know, beautiful wife, mind, body, and spirit. Had to show up for her, but show up for my girls. And I tell you, one of the things that I went through later on, Carlos, and it keeps me anchored and focused to continue to live my best life, is at one point I went through a period of survivor's guilt, feeling like that the days when I don't feel like giving it my all, I just think about somebody else who didn't make it through that day that we may have lost through that disease. So survivor's guilt played a part in my life in terms of making sure that I do all that I need to do to make sure that I'm around for my family, to hear their stories, to see my girls graduate, to welcome my wife home. And so my hat goes off to you for just showing up and knowing what you needed to do.
Yeah, and that comes with a lot of selflessness
Mm-hmm.
instead of selfishness. Because we can be
Yes.
selfish in that space. And we have every right to be selfish. This is
Right.
my body. This is my life. I'm the one struggling here.
Yes.
But I say if I can give myself over to them in another way so that I can be grateful for the life that I'm living now, that helped
Yes.
me out a tremendous amount.
I'm glad that you were on top of it, making sure that you did all you could do, not only for your family, but you also were keeping in mind the ministry work that you do and
Yes.
how men needed you to show up. So hats off to you. So let's talk a little bit about, we talked about Men's Power Connect, but then you kind of crossed that bridge and started helping men in the field of marriage and marriage
Yes.
counseling. And, you hold workshops and all. How did that come about? Now you have a great partner in Katherine,
I
but
do.
how did that come about to enter that sphere of marriage counseling and connection and working out?
That is great. A great question. And we were doing the whole marriage piece before Men's Power Connect. So with Power Couples Rock, well, we were doing
Yes.
that early on. So really quick story is that we were celebrating our 10-year wedding anniversary. And so we had invited 25 couples for a weekend retreat in Tennessee. And they all came up and we had put on this whole retreat to celebrate our 10-year wedding anniversary. So people just had to show up. We took care of their food. We took care of all of their activities and all of that just to say thank you for being a part of our community. And after we did that, our pastor said, "We believe that you've been called to this ministry of marriage And from that point on, we have been in the marriage space. And that's been almost 20 years now, 15 or 20 years that we've been
Really?
doing this. Yes. So
I
we
did
do
not know.
workshops, retreats, we have solutions, products, services. We marry people, we counsel and coach them. We do a lot of that, facilitations, and Katherine does it full time at this point. So we've just been blessed to be able to do this and absolutely have seen transformation happening with men, with marriages, and with communities.
Now, you do hold the Power Couples Rock. Is that on Tuesday evenings, typically at what, 9 p.m.?
9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We call it Popcorn Conversations.
Popcorn Conversations. Now, I've seen some of those episodes. Tell me a little bit about the behind the scenes. What are people contacting you about? And here's the beauty of it. While I understand and know your faith and how dedicated you are to it, one of the things that I really appreciate is that you talk about topical issues because you do understand, like, okay, my journey right now is on earth. And so I'm having some earthly questions come my way. I love the way you handle those, but then also inject your faith to a certain degree to say, okay, well, this is my belief, but I understand what you may be going through. So talk a little bit about how you handle some of those questions and some of the topics that you choose, because, you tune in, you hear the topic and you're like, oh, okay, let's hear this.
Yes. It's interesting because the topics that we select are topics that we wanted to be real the couples are dealing with. Everything from intimacy issues to financial issues to men having challenges on their jobs and how do their wives show up with them, women and their insecurities, what happens there. So we really pray through what that topic is going to be. And we like to keep it topical because we want to address those issues that people are having every single day, even parenting and what that looks like and how we show up as parents in that space. And so what we try to do is to make sure that we are being real and authentic in our conversations, but we're going to wrap our conversations in the Word. Now, I know that everyone may not have the level of faith that we have in the Word, and it's no judgment on anybody. People are searching for, well, where are you anchoring? Where are you planting your thoughts and your beliefs and your values? And we want to make sure that they actually have a place that they can get that information from, but not feel judged. And we actually encourage them to put their questions in the comments, put
Many
their thoughts
comments,
in the
yes.
comments. We do.
Uh-huh.
We encourage
Yes.
them because we want them to be a part of the community.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
very interesting that we get that. And here's the thing. The last thing that I'll say on this is that we get all of these replays that happen.
Uh-huh.
And so when we're out or we get these text messages or we'll get these emails and say, hey, can you address this? I love that. Do you mind calling us? Because we love to have a coaching session with you all. Yeah.
And Carlos, I didn't know it was that many years. Now, talk to us about a book, because you published a book a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please tell us what was the genesis behind the book, and of course, towards the end, I'll let you let our listeners know where to pick that book up from.
That's great. So the book is called A Power Couple's Journey, and it's about this couple who actually goes on a cruise, and they're having challenges. And so it's a marriage cruise that they go on. And of course, the man doesn't want to go. The wife wants to go because she's like, this is our last thread for our relationship. So they go on this cruise and they start learning these different tools and resources and solutions that they can incorporate in their relationship to make their relationship stronger. And it doesn't come with like everything turns out really hunky dory, but there are some challenges that they have to walk through. So it is, I would say it's PG-13.
Okay.
Because there are some things in here in this book that kind of pushes the envelope a little
Yes.
bit, but we wrote it from a marriage perspective. So with marriage, there are some things that come with it that are a little not R-rated, but there are some things that push the boundaries that we absolutely love in the space. And it comes from a narrative standpoint. It's a story form that
Yes.
happens.
That's one of the things that I enjoyed about it. You kept it real. You kept it relatable because, like you said, everybody, they have different levels of their faith and their anchoring, and you kept it at a real world level that you could relate to it.
Mm.
It wasn't this judgment being passed down. It was really real life, and I thought you did an excellent job in communicating that message.
Thank you so much, man. It's been a joy for us to actually have this. And I wanted to do it. I think both me and my wife wanted to do it because we wanted to leave something that could live on for years after us.
Yes, yes. I see the little corner of the book in your hand. You can go ahead and show us the cover of that book, sir.
That's it. Thank you. A Power Couple's Journey. Want to make sure that I didn't miss anything in here, but we absolutely have loved the comments and the discussion that comes from the book with other couples.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
Well, Carlos, as we begin to wrap up, I want to find out from you that given that all that you've gone through, along with your health journey, marriage, you raised two fine sons. If you had to go back, though, and again, I guess maybe that the psychiatrist or psychologist that was there at your meeting maybe sparked some things, but if you were able to go back in time and whisper in the ear of the 24-year-old Carlos Green, what advice would you give him?
We would have a long discussion.
Okay.
Well, that 24-year-old Carlos had some issues.
Yes.
He had
Okay.
some identity issues. He had some financial issues that were going on. He actually had some self-doubting, imposter syndrome issues that were going on. And he was living not two lives, multiple lives, because he was showing up the way other people were expecting him to show up. Right? If he's in one setting, this is the way he should be showing up. If he was in another setting with his family, this is another way. Because I wasn't married at that point. Here's another way that he would be showing up. If he was with his fraternity brothers, that's another way he would show up. So he had this multiple personality disorder that was going on in his life. And I would say to 24-year-old Carlos, you are enough. And your gifts are value added. And they will do you well if you stay true to who you are.
Wow. That was beautiful. Carlos, for those who want to learn more about what you're doing, they may want to book you and Katherine for a session or have you come give a presentation. What's the best way folks can reach out to you? And I'm going to make sure that this information is included in the podcast notes. But for our listeners, let us know how to reach you.
Thank you. Two ways you can reach me. One is you can go to Power Couples Rock. That's our website, and you can find all of the tools and resources that we actually have out there. And even with on our website that we have with Power Couples Rock, we actually just launched about a year ago our Power Couples Rock game that we have. And that
Yes.
game actually it's a wonderful opportunity for couples to connect with each other, either just them two or in a community with the 6 core areas of their lives: faith, family, finance, fitness, future, and fun, that helps them to process through all of those without it being a shameful or without all of the pressure of how they show up. And I don't know if I even said that right, but it is a game to where you can really learn about each other. I played this game with my son and his girlfriend. They're not married. I call them my nieces. One niece is married. One niece is about to get married. She was getting ready to get engaged. They all wanted to play this game with us. And
I
we
love it.
went around, and it was one of the most insightful conversations that we ever had with all of them sitting around the table talking through these questions.
You know,
So
and
good.
in this day and age, it is hard to get people to sit down, have a conversation, sit at the table. No grabbing the phone. I've heard about the game and you were just doing terrific things with it. So please, my listeners out there, make sure that's on your list this year. I'm pretty
Thank you.
sure you will find it enjoyable. So you told us about the game and Power Couples Rock. How
Yep.
about Men's Power Connect? How can
Men's Power
folks meet you
Connect.
there?
You can also go to menspowerconnect.com, and you can find us on YouTube as well as Instagram. All the things that are actually out there that are available, and then listen to us. Or with Power Couples Rock, we've got popcorn conversations on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then the weekly wisdoms come out every Wednesday, where I'll give you, and that's for Men's Power Connect, and I'll just give you just something that's inspirational for you, just to make sure that you can keep showing up.
Wonderful. Carlos, as always, I appreciate, one, your friendship, two, taking some time out today to be here and share your words of wisdom. I get to give it not only weekly, but almost daily. So I thank you for spending some time with me. And of course, I wish you all the best and continued success to you, my friend.
Thank you, my iron. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.